The galaxy was wide, bright, and full of life, and yet the human race was still new to it. Many great civilizations had lived among the stars for hundreds of years, while humans had only just stepped into this grand universe. Some alien races were curious about humans. Some were polite, but many believed humans were weak and ordinary. On a shining planet known as Orion, a great peace conference was arranged. Leaders and royal families of many species were invited. It was not only a political event, it was also a chance for cultures to understand each other. The palace on Orion stood tall like crystal mountains touching the sky. Its halls glowed with gentle blue light. Its air smelled fresh like morning rain. Among the guests were human representatives. They were respectful and humble because they knew they were newcomers. Among their escort team was a human soldier named Ethan Cole. He was not a prince or a famous hero. He was simply a calm, disciplined, and thoughtful young man who believed respect was stronger than pride. When Ethan walked through the palace gates, he looked around with quiet wonder. The ceiling above him sparkled like a galaxy of floating lights. Floors reflected his steps like liquid mirrors. Aliens of many shapes and forms passed by him. Some had glowing skin, some had calm metallic faces, and some floated gently instead of walking. Yet Ethan never stared rudely or acted afraid. He smiled politely and nodded with respect to everyone he passed. Many aliens noticed him. Some whispered softly, "Is that a human? They look so simple. They are from that small blue planet, right?" Ethan heard some of them, but he did not react. He understood. Humanity was still earning its place in the galaxy. Respect did not come instantly. It had to be earned through behavior, patience, and kindness. He reminded himself gently, "Be calm, be respectful. Remember why you are here." The grand hall soon filled with royal families, leaders, and honored guests. Among them was the famous Princess Lyra of Orion. The 19-year-old alien princess, known for her intelligence, confidence, and strong personality, her people admired her deeply. She was young but already very influential. She believed in strength, pride, and perfection. Princess Lyra entered the hall surrounded by guards wearing shining silver armor. Her hair sparkled like starlight, and her eyes glowed softly with a radiant color. She walked with a proud yet graceful posture. Many bowed when she passed. She nodded with gentle elegance, feeling responsible and important. Then her eyes stopped on Ethan. He stood calmly with his human team, wearing his Earth-made armor. Compared to other alien technology, his armor looked simple. It did not shine. With bright colors, it did not float. It did not display advanced lights. It was just clean, practical, and protective. Princess Lyra tilted her head slightly. Her first thought was not anger or hate. It was curiosity mixed with doubt. "So these are humans? The new ones?" She walked forward. The hall became quieter because everyone noticed where she was going. Her guards stopped a few steps behind her. Ethan respectfully bowed his head slightly the way he was trained. "Greetings, Princess," Ethan said softly and respectfully. "It is an honor to be here." The voice was calm. His eyes were steady. There was no fear, no arrogance. Princess Lyra studied him for a moment. She expected nervousness. She expected him to avoid eye contact. Instead, she saw a quiet confidence that surprised her a little. "You are a human soldier?" she asked, in a smooth but curious tone. "Yes," Ethan replied kindly. "I am here to help maintain peace and offer support if needed." The princess smiled, but it was not a kind smile. It was playful and proud. She turned slightly so others could hear. "A human soldier," she repeated. "From the small blue planet that only recently learned to travel among the stars?" There was a soft wave of quiet laughter from some aliens nearby. It's not loud, not cruel, but clearly amused. Ethan remained calm. The princess continued, "Tell me, human soldier, do you truly believe your kind belongs among great galactic powers when your armor is so plain and your technology looks so basic?" Some aliens nodded, some smiled, some watched silently to see what he would do. Ethan did not rush to answer. He took a gentle breath. His heart beat a little faster, but not from fear, from responsibility. Whatever he said would shape how these people viewed his entire race. He did not want to sound angry or desperate. He wanted to sound honest and respectful. He looked at the princess politely. "Princess Lyra," he said slowly, "humanity may not have the most advanced technology yet. And yes, we are still learning. But we do not measure worth only by power or appearance. We believe true strength comes from courage, kindness, and the will to improve." The hall went quiet. Princess Lyra blinked. She did not expect such a calm and thoughtful answer. But instead of accepting it, her pride pushed her further. She smiled slightly and walked around Ethan as if examining him like a curious object. "So," she said softly, "you believe humans are strong in heart? Interesting. But the galaxy does not always respect gentle words. Power earns respect. Excellence earns respect. You humans are still so new, still so small." Again, quiet whispers spread. Ethan listened, but he did not interrupt. Princess Lyra lifted one of her hands and lightly tapped his armor. "This," she said, "is your protection, your pride, your symbol of strength. Yet it is nothing special here. Why should any of us take humans seriously?" Her tone was not hateful, but it was confident and dismissive. Many young aliens watched with interest. Would the human get angry? Would he argue? Would he feel humiliated? But Ethan simply smiled kindly. "This armor is only metal," he said softly. "It helps. But it does not define me. It does not define what it means to be human. If you judge only by armor, then yes, we look simple. But if you judge by heart, by spirit, by how we treat others, then maybe humans are not so small." Princess Lyra paused. Her expression changed just slightly. A mix of confusion and curiosity touched her eyes. He spoke without fear, without shaking, without trying to impress, just honestly, and that felt different to her. Before she could answer, one of the royal advisors whispered to her quietly, "Princess, remember to remain gracious. This is a peace event." She nodded gently, though she still held pride in her heart. Then something unexpected happened. Ethan slowly reached to his shoulders. Everyone watched. He unlocked his armor. A soft metallic sound echoed, piece by piece. He removed it and placed it gently on the polished floor. Shock spread through the hall. No soldier ever removed protective armor in an official royal hall. It was unusual. It was bold. It was surprising. Some aliens gasped. Some covered their mouths. Even the princess widened her eyes. Ethan stood now only in simple uniform. No fancy equipment. No shining metal. No impressive display. Just a human. Just himself. He spoke gently. "If my armor makes you think humans are small," he said, "then I do not need it. If I am to be judged, I wish to be judged as a person, not as technology, not as equipment, just as a human being." Silence, deep silence. Princess Lyra stared at him. She expected arguments. She expected excuses. She expected prideful shouting. But instead, she saw something else entirely. She saw quiet strength. She saw dignity. She saw someone who did not need to prove anything by force or pride. Her heart felt a small, unfamiliar shift. She did not fully understand it yet, but she felt it. The hall atmosphere changed. Many aliens who earlier thought humans were weak now felt unsure. Something about this human was different. Something about his calm, steady presence was powerful in a quiet way. Princess Lyra finally spoke, softer than before. "You removed your protection, simply to make a point?" Ethan nodded gently. "I removed it," he said, "to show that humans stand by respect, not fear. We are willing to be open. We're willing to be honest. We're willing to come forward without hiding behind armor." He smiled kindly, "And we hope others can see us not as lesser beings, but as new partners. In this universe?" Princess Lyra looked at him deeply. He was not mocking her. was not challenging her. He was simply being true to himself. For the first time, instead of seeing a simple human, she saw a young soul with courage and honor. The advisors whispered, "Again, Princess, the leaders are watching. Your response matters." She nodded slowly. The proud princess opened her mouth, ready to speak. But before she could, an announcement echoed in the hall, calling everyone to gather for the official ceremony. The moment ended, but it did not disappear. It stayed in every mind, especially in hers. Ethan quietly picked up his armor, carried it respectfully, and followed his team. He did not look proud. He did not look defeated. He simply looked peaceful. Princess Lyra watched him go. Something inside her had changed, a spark of curiosity, a silent question in her heart. Maybe humans are not as simple as I thought, and so the peace conference continued. But the story of the human soldier who calmly removed his armor had just begun. The sun of Orion rose slowly, filling the palace with warm golden light. Outside, the garden shimmered with exotic flowers, some glowing faintly in soft blues and purples. The palace seemed alive with quiet energy, as if the entire planet was. Aware of the gathering of so many species under one roof, inside, the grand hall was still buzzing with whispers from the previous day. Many aliens could not stop talking about the human soldier. Ethan Cole, who had calmly removed his armor in front of the proud Princess Lyra. Some were impressed. Others remained skeptical. Princess Lyra herself walked through the corridors of her palace, her mind restless. She had spent many hours thinking about the human. He had not argued. He had not shouted, not shown fear or pride in the usual ways her people understood strength. And yet somehow he had commanded attention, even admiration. Her advisors noticed her quiet mood. Princess One said gently, "Do you think humans really have that kind of strength? Can they really stand in a galaxy full of warriors and not break?" Lyra shook her head slightly, her expression thoughtful. "I do not know, but something about him. He is not ordinary. He does not act like any warrior I have ever met." The advisors exchanged glances. Most of them believed strength was shown through bold actions and flashy power. But Lyra's eyes were fixed on another kind of strength, when they did not fully understand. Meanwhile, Ethan walked through the palace gardens with two human companions. He moved slowly, observing the alien plants and creatures, noting how different, yet beautiful, everything was. The palace was more than a building. It was alive with culture, history, and pride. Yet, even in the midst of beauty, his mind was focused on his mission. Humans were new to this galaxy. They had to be careful. They had to learn. They had to earn respect. Ethan's companion, a young human officer named Marla, whispered, "Do you think she really respected you, Ethan?" Ethan smiled softly. "Respect is not given quickly. It is built slowly. I only hope she begins to understand that humans are more than we seem." As they walked, Princess Lyra approached them suddenly. She had chosen to observe Ethan without making herself obvious at first. Now, she stepped into the garden path, her presence bright and commanding. "Human soldier." She said smoothly, though there was no harshness in her tone, "I wish to speak with you." Ethan turned, his calm expression unchanged. "Princess Lyra, good morning." She studied him carefully, eyes shining with curiosity. "You removed your armor yesterday? Still do not fully understand why you would do that? If you could have embarrassed yourself or worse?" Ethan shook his head gently. "I was not thinking about embarrassment. I only wanted to show honesty. Humans, when we meet others, we value truth and courage. Armor can protect the body, but it cannot protect the spirit. I wanted to show that our spirit is strong, even without metal covering it." Lyra raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Your spirit is strong. Yet you do not try to prove it with fighting, with weapons, or with pride." "No," Ethan said simply. "I believe true strength is not always loud. Sometimes it is quiet. Sometimes it is patient. Sometimes it is how you act when nobody is watching. That is the kind of strength humans respect." The princess stared at him, a small smile forming on her lips. She had never met a warrior who defined strength in such a strange way. Her people often measured warriors by victories, duels, or displays of power. But this human was different. "I do not understand humans," she admitted softly. "Your kind seems so calm. Yet you act with courage in ways I do not see immediately." Ethan's eyes were steady. "We act in the ways that matter most, Princess, not always the ways that others expect." Lyra remained silent for a moment. Then, to test him further, she leaned slightly forward. "Tell me, human, if your armor fails in a real fight, if you are weak and outnumbered, what will you do?" Ethan's gaze never wavered. "I will not rely only on armor or weapons, Ron. I will rely on my mind, my courage, and my determination. And I will do my best to protect those who cannot protect themselves." A slight wind moved through the gardens, and Lyra felt a strange calmness in his words. They were not loud or arrogant, but they carried weight. The kind of weight that made one pause. "Do you truly believe your kind can survive in this galaxy, surrounded by powerful species?" she asked quietly. Ethan smiled softly, as if he had expected the question. "We will survive. It's not because we are the strongest, but because we do not give up. We learn, we grow, we adapt, we work together. That is the human way." Lyra looked away, her mind racing. She had always believed strength came from victory, pride, and advanced technology. Yet here was a human who had none of that, and still, she felt respect. "Very well, human," she said finally. "I will watch you carefully. Perhaps there is more to your kind than I thought. Perhaps humans are not as weak as they appear." Ethan nodded politely. "Thank you, Princess. That is all I hope for to be understood." As Lyra walked away, Ethan's companions whispered excitedly, You impressed her? Really impressed her?" Ethan smiled faintly. "It is not about impressing her. It is about being true to ourselves. If we act with honesty, respect, and courage, that is enough." The day passed with more introductions and meetings. Aliens of many species gathered in groups, observing humans, sharing meals, and discussing culture. Many laughed softly at human customs. Some were polite but dismissive. Others were genuinely curious. Ethan moved among them calmly. He did not try to show off. He did not argue. He simply answered questions honestly, helped where needed, and observed carefully. His calmness drew attention in a galaxy where boldness often dominated conversation. Later in the afternoon, Princess Lyra returned to the gardens. This time she did not speak at once. She watched Ethan as he helped a small alien child reach a flower glowing with soft blue light. The child giggled, and Ethan smiled warmly, offering the child a gentle hand. Lyra's eyes narrowed slightly. She realized something important. Strength was not only about power, weapons, or armor. Strength could be shown in small acts of kindness. Strength could be quiet. Strength could inspire others without shouting or threatening. When she finally approached him, she spoke differently than before. "Human soldier, you act with calmness and care, even in unfamiliar surroundings. You treat others with respect. That is unusual for someone from your world." Ethan bowed politely. "Thank you, Princess. Humanity believes that how we treat others defines who we are, not what we wear or what weapons we carry." Lyra paused. She could see his words were sincere. She could see his actions were genuine. And for the first time, she began to wonder if humans might be more capable than she had imagined. Then, unexpectedly, a loud alarm echoed through the palace. It was a routine security drill, one that tested guards and emergency systems. Alarms blared, lights flashed, and many guests paused in surprise. Ethan stood calmly. "Do not worry," he said to the nearby humans. "Stay calm, follow instructions, and help others remain safe." Princess Lyra noticed his calmness. While many aliens rushed, panicked, or displayed loud commands, Ethan moved steadily, guiding people with quiet authority. He helped elders reach safe areas, pointed the lost toward exits, and made sure the children were protected. Lyra watched him closely, His calmness was not weakness. It was control. It was courage. It was effective. After the drill ended, the princess approached him once more. You do not need to shout or strike or display power to lead. Yet you lead effectively. How? Ethan smiled gently. Leadership is not about showing power. It is about helping others feel safe, confident, and cared for. That is what humans believe. Lyra's expression softened. She felt respect, curiosity, and even a hint of admiration. This human was teaching her something important without raising his voice or challenging her pride. The sun began to set over Orion, filling the sky with shades of purple and gold. Birds with glowing feathers flew over the palace gardens. Ethan and his companions walked quietly, reflecting on the day. Princess Lyra stood on a balcony above them, watching. She had expected humans to be simple, weak, and ordinary. But now, she saw the truth. Humans were not perfect. They were new, yes, but they carried courage, kindness, patience, and intelligence that were quiet but undeniable. The princess whispered to herself, almost as if confessing a thought for the first time. Perhaps humans are stronger than I believed. And far below, Ethan walked without pride, without arrogance, yet full of quiet dignity. The galaxy was vast, full of challenges and unknown dangers. Yet humans, even in their simplicity, had already begun to leave a mark. And Princess Lyra, proud and powerful, had only begun to understand the depth of what she had underestimated. The next morning on Orion, the palace shone like a jewel in the bright sunlight. Light reflected off the crystal towers and glass walls, making the city seem alive. People from many worlds walked the streets, curious about humans and their small, blue planet. For Ethan Cole, the human soldier, it was another day to observe, help, and learn. He began by walking through the palace halls, noting details that might help him navigate in an emergency. Humans were new to this galaxy, and caution was always wise. Though Orion was a place of beauty and peace, Ethan had learned to expect surprises. Every step he took was careful but calm, his mind alert but his heart steady. Princess Lyra, meanwhile, had not stopped thinking about him. His quiet courage, the way he removed his armor, and his respectful words had lingered in her mind. Though she tried to focus on her royal duties, she found herself watching him from a distance. His presence fascinated her. It was unlike anything she had ever seen, a mixture of humility, courage, and quiet authority. The morning passed with ceremonies, discussions, and cultural exchanges. Aliens shared food, music, and stories. Humans shared their own simple customs. Ethan moved among everyone, answering questions with honesty and helping anyone who looked confused or lost. His calmness drew attention from more species than he realized. Whispers followed him wherever he went. Look at the human. He does not rush, yet he helps everyone. Strange. He is young, yet so steady. Perhaps we underestimated humans. Even Princess Lyra felt a new respect forming inside her, yet she remained proud and cautious. She had learned long ago not to trust appearances. It was early afternoon when the palace's peace and calm suddenly broke. Low, unfamiliar hum filled the air, vibrating through the walls and floors. Many guests paused, confused. Some alien species stiffened. The palace guards immediately stood alert, scanning the halls. Unknown ships approaching, a guard said quickly through a communicator, "They do not have clearance. They are not part of the conference." Princess Lyra's eyes widened. "Ethan," she said, approaching him with a calm urgency. "Do you know what to do in this situation?" Ethan nodded. "Stay calm. Follow instructions. Help others stay safe." It was not a command meant to impress. It was simple, clear guidance. Within moments, warning lights flashed across the palace halls. Some guests panicked, rushing toward exits. Guards attempted to organize the crowd, but the intruders moved quickly. Appearing to know the palace's layout better than anyone expected, Ethan's heart did not race with fear. Instead, it focused on what needed to be done. He calmly guided nearby humans and aliens toward a safe corridor, keeping a steady tone. "Stay together. Do not run blindly. Follow my lead, he instructed. Aliens looked at him with surprise. Many were used to bold warriors shouting commands or showing weapons to enforce order. But Ethan simply moved with calm confidence. Helping others navigate the chaos, Princess Lyra followed closely, observing him. Her pride was mixed with amazement. This human soldier, who appeared so simple and unarmed, moved with wisdom and courage that few of her guards could match. Ethan guided a group of young aliens, children of diplomats, toward a hidden passage. He had noticed while walking through the palace yesterday. His eyes scanned every hallway, every door, and every corner. He remembered details many overlooked. This way, he said gently, leading the children. You are safe with me. Of the children, a small alien with 4 glowing eyes looked up at him nervously. You are not afraid? Ethan smiled softly. I am not. As long as we move carefully and stay calm, we will be fine. Meanwhile, in the main hall, Princess Lyra's own guards tried to defend her. Their advanced armor and weapons should have been enough, but the intruders had technology that disrupted shields and armor. Many guards were slowed or temporarily unable to act. Panic threatened to take over. Lyra's hands trembled slightly. She had trained for emergencies like this, but the intruders were clever and unpredictable. For a moment, fear touched her heart. Then, she remembered Ethan. She thought of the human who removed his armor without fear. The human who moved calmly, helped others, and spoke with dignity. She realized the lesson he had quietly taught her. Courage was not always shown through weapons or technology. Courage could be quiet, steady, and thoughtful. Lyra took a deep breath. She would follow his example. Ethan continued to lead his group. Through hidden corridors, the intruders were moving quickly, but they had not noticed the children's small escape route. He paused once to help a young alien child over a low wall and whispered encouraging words. You are safe. Stay close to me. We will get through this together. By the time the main hall chaos reached its peak, Ethan had already ensured that several groups were safe. Even the palace staff, who were unsure of how to act, followed his guidance. Did not shout. He did not demand attention. He simply acted with calm authority. Princess Lyra finally made her move. She followed him into the corridor where he was guiding the children. Seeing him in action, she could not hide her admiration. His courage was not loud. It did not rely on weapons or armor. It relied on his intelligence, quick thinking, and heart. Human soldier, she said, slightly out of breath, you are remarkable. Ethan glanced at her, giving a small nod. Stay calm, we will reach safety. The intruders approached another hallway, where some of the palace's main leaders had gathered. Their armor failed to function properly due to alien technology the attackers brought. Many felt fear for the first time in their lives. Ethan's mind worked quickly. He remembered alternative routes he had noticed while exploring the palace. He guided the leaders and their assistants through these secret pathways. Step by step, he ensured that no one was left behind. One of the palace guards, frustrated by the failure of his own armor, muttered, How can a human move so confidently without any protection? Ethan simply helped the next group through. Side door, ignoring the comment. Actions spoke louder than words. His quiet bravery inspired more confidence than shouting or striking ever could. Meanwhile, Lyra stayed near him, noticing small things she had overlooked before. How he watched the movement of intruders, how he anticipated obstacles, how he reassured frightened individuals without raising his voice. It was all subtle, yet it worked perfectly. After guiding several groups to safety, Ethan paused in a quiet hallway. The children he had been leading were safe, and their guardians thanked him with smiles and nods. His calmness seemed to calm them, even in the middle of danger. Human, Lyra said softly, stepping beside him. You are not just brave, you are inspiring. I do not understand fully, but what you do works. You protect and lead without weapons, without force, and yet everyone trusts you. Ethan shook his head gently. It is not about inspiring. It is about being honest, helping others, and staying calm. Now, fear only spreads when we panic. Courage spreads when we act carefully and kindly. The princess considered this quietly. She had led her people through battles before, using weapons and strategy, but she had never seen courage like this. It was not about winning or defeating. It was about protecting and guiding without losing oneself. As the intruders were finally pushed back by Orion's loyal defense teams, Ethan ensured that everyone he had guided was accounted for. No one was hurt, no one was left behind, and all were safe. The palace halls were quiet again. The alarms stopped. Guests and leaders breathed, deeply feeling relief wash over them, as the threat had ended. But the memory of the human soldier's actions remained. Princess Lyra stood near him, now fully aware of what she had underestimated. "Ethan," she said, her voice quiet, "I mocked you before. I believed humans were small and weak. Today, you showed me something far greater than any weapon or armor could ever show." Ethan looked at her calmly. "Thank you, Princess. Humans are not perfect. We are still learning, but we try to act with courage, respect, and care. That is all we can do." Lyra nodded slowly. Her pride remained, but now it was mixed with genuine respect and curiosity. She realized the galaxy had much to learn from humans, just as humans had much to learn from it. The sun began to set, filling the crystal towers with deep orange and purple light. Ethan, calm and composed, walked through the palace, checking on those who had been scared or confused. He offered quiet encouragement, helping both humans and aliens regain their confidence. By the evening, the palace returned to its peaceful rhythm. The guests discussed what had happened, many whispering about the human soldier who had acted without fear, without weapons, yet saved lives through calmness and intelligence. Princess Lyra watched him from a balcony. She had expected humans to be simple, yet here was proof that their quiet courage could be extraordinary. She realized she still had much to learn, not only about humans, but about strength itself. Ethan stood at the palace garden, looking at the glowing flowers as the evening lights shimmered. He did not boast about what had happened. He did not demand attention, simply observed quietly proud that he had done his duty and kept everyone safe in the galaxy full of warriors. Fighters and prideful leaders, humans had proven that courage could be quiet, kindness could be strong, and the human spirit could shine even without armor or weapons. Princess Lyra whispered to herself, "Perhaps humans are stronger than I ever imagined." And far below, Ethan walked steadily, his calm presence a living example of the morning on Orion dawned calm and golden. Lights spilled across the palace towers, turning the crystal walls into brilliant streams of color. Birds with soft, glowing feathers moved through the gardens, their gentle songs filling the air. For most of the guests, it was a peaceful day. But for Princess Lyra, the events of the previous day lingered in her mind. She had watched Ethan Cole, the human soldier, calmly guide frightened children, lost diplomats, and panicked guards to safety during the palace crisis. Unlike many warriors, she had known he did not rely on power, weapons, or even his armor to make others follow him. He led with courage, intelligence, and respect. Lyra could not shake the thought. Something about humans and about this one human was extraordinary, yet she reminded herself, appearances could be deceiving. Humans might act boldly in a single crisis, but would they truly stand strong when everything was against them? Would soon find out. By midday, the palace buzzed with activity as delegations from many planets prepared for a grand cultural ceremony. Humans, aliens, and diplomats from far corners of the galaxy mingled, shared food, and discussed ideas. Ethan moved among them as usual, answering questions with calm patience and offering quiet help where needed. The young princess, curious and cautious, followed him at a distance. She wanted to observe him again, to understand the human spirit. More fully then, without warning, the palace shook. A deep, low hum filled the corridors, like the vibration of an approaching storm. Alarm lights flashed red and gold. A new group of intruders had appeared, more organized and determined than the previous day. "Princess Lyra," a guard shouted. "They are moving directly toward the central chambers." The princess's heart raced. She had expected calm after yesterday's success, But now a real danger approached, targeting her directly. Ethan appeared at her side, calm as ever. "Princess, stay close to me. We will find safety." Lyra felt a mixture of fear and admiration. The human who had removed his armor in front of her before now seemed even more capable. His calmness was unshakable, even when the threat was close. "This way," Ethan said, guiding her through a corridor he had memorized during his previous patrols. "Follow me exactly. Do not panic. Keep your focus." The intruder's weapons hummed with strange energy, disrupting electronic devices and even some of the palace's defensive systems. Many guards froze or struggled to act. Some guests panicked, unsure where to go, but Ethan moved steadily, guiding the princess and several aides through hidden side passages. Each step was precise, each instruction clear and calm. "Stay close. Do not separate," he instructed. "We will reach the secure chambers." Lyra followed, her mind racing, yet her body steady. She had faced danger before, but never like this. She realized with a quiet sense of humility that this human strength came not from power or technology, but from something deeper: his mind, his courage, and his heart. As they moved, one of the intruders appeared at the corridor ahead, blocking the way. The creature was large, with sharp eyes and an intimidating presence. Guards had weapons ready, but their systems were disrupted, and fear had slowed their reactions. Lyra froze slightly. She had always relied on her guards and technology to protect her. She had never faced a situation where her defenses could fail so completely. Ethan, however, stepped forward calmly. He did not draw a weapon. He did not threaten, simply raised his hand slightly and spoke. "Listen," he said firmly, his voice steady. "You do not need to cause harm. Do not seek conflict. Turn back, and no one will be hurt. Violence is not necessary." The intruder hesitated, confused by the calm confidence in Ethan's voice. Aliens were used to being intimidated by power, by strength, or by loud displays. But this human did not shout, did not attack, and yet he radiated authority and determination. The intruder looked at him, then slowly stepped aside. The passage cleared. Lyra's eyes widened. You spoke to it without a weapon, and it listened," she asked, still catching her breath. Ethan nodded. "Sometimes courage and honesty speak louder than weapons." The princess could not help but feel awe. She had seen warriors use strength to command obedience, but she had never seen someone command respect with only their calm mind and courage. They continued through the corridors until they reached a wide chamber at the palace's core. It was designed as a safe haven, with reinforced walls and a small group of loyal guards stationed there. The princess and Ethan entered first, ensuring all aides and children were accounted for. Once inside, Lyra finally allowed herself to speak. "Human soldier, I admit I underestimated you. I mocked your kind before, but today you have shown me something extraordinary. You act with bravery, intelligence, and calmness that even the strongest warriors cannot match." Ethan shook his head humbly. "I am not extraordinary, princess. I only try to act with respect, courage, and care. Humans are not perfect. But when we face danger, we try to do our best for others. That is all any of us can do," Lyra reflected. On his words, she realized something profound. Courage was not always about striking first or showing strength. Courage could be quiet. It could protect others. It could inspire loyalty without threats. As the intruders pressed forward, attempting to breach the chamber, Ethan calmly organized the small group of guards. Using his quick thinking, he positioned them in ways that blocked the most likely entry points. He did not fight aggressively. He guided and coordinated. "Do not panic," he instructed. "Focus on keeping each other safe. Watch the doors. Stay together." Intruders tried again, using technology designed to break through barriers. The guards struggled, their confidence wavering. But Ethan's calm presence steadied them. His actions gave them hope, courage, and focus. Princess Lyra, standing nearby, felt something shift within her. She had been raised to believe that strength meant dominance, that power meant victory. But here before her eyes a human was demonstrating a different kind of power, power that came from intelligence, courage, and the willingness to protect others. "You are teaching me something important," she said quietly to herself. Ethan noticed her glance. Princess Courage is not about fearlessness. It is about acting despite fear. It is about protecting others and staying true to what is right. The intruders hesitated. Again at the doors, unsure how to proceed against a human who acted with such calm authority. Meanwhile, the loyal palace forces regrouped, inspired by Ethan's composure and quick thinking. With careful planning, Ethan led the group through an alternative exit he had identified earlier. The children and aides were safe. The princess followed closely, realizing that the human was not only capable but wise beyond his years. Once they reached a secure outdoor garden, shielded from intruder detection, Ethan paused to check on everyone. Each child was safe, each aide unharmed, and the princess stood calmly. Observing him, "You risked yourself without armor, without weapons, to protect us all," Lyra said. Her voice carried both awe and respect. "Mocked your kind before, but now I see humans are different. You show strength in ways I did not understand." Ethan smiled softly. "Princess, I do not act to be praised. I act because it is right. Protecting others, staying calm, and thinking clearly, these are choices anyone can make. That is the human way." Lyra studied him carefully. She realized that human strength was not flashy. It was quiet, steady, and often invisible until tested. When tested, it shone brighter than the most advanced technology. As the sun began to set, bathing the palace gardens in orange and purple light, Lyra made a silent promise to herself. She would learn from humans. She would understand their courage, patience, and dignity. And she would ensure that the galaxy did not underestimate them again. Ethan, meanwhile, remained humble. He did not boast. He did not demand praise. Simply ensured that everyone was safe and that the palace defenses were restored. His calm determination had inspired humans and aliens alike. For Princess Lyra, human soldier had revealed a truth she had never fully grasped. Strength was not only measured in weapons, armor, or victories. True strength came from heart, courage, intelligence, and the willingness to act for the good of others. And in that moment, standing among the flowers of the palace garden, watching the last rays of sunlight, Lyra finally understood the human spirit, and the quiet, undeniable power it held. The next morning, the sky over Orion was clear, painted in soft shades of pink and gold. The palace, though still shimmering with its usual brilliance, carried a quiet weight from the previous day's events. Guests, delegates, and royal staff moved about carefully, some still whispering about the human soldier who had calmly led everyone to safety during the intruders' attacks. Princess Lyra, now fully aware of the impact Ethan Cole had made, walked slowly through the gardens. She watched the young human soldier as he quietly helped palace staff organize supplies and check on guests, who were still nervous after the crisis. Lyra remembered her first impression of him. The human who seemed small and unremarkable in armor. She remembered the way he had removed his armor before her eyes, standing without fear. And she remembered how, when the palace had been threatened, he had acted with calm courage, guiding the vulnerable to safety while keeping his own composure. 4. The first time, the princess understood that strength was not always measured by weapons, titles, or appearances. True strength came from the courage to act with integrity, even when no one was watching, and the willingness to protect others without seeking praise. The palace council gathered in the central hall to discuss the aftermath of the attacks. Delegates from multiple species were present, including humans, Orions, and others. There was much gratitude for the bravery shown by the palace guards and the human team. But the attention always returned to Ethan Cole, a representative from another planet. Spoke first. The human soldier has shown courage, intelligence, and calm in the face of danger. He guided children, protected leaders, and coordinated defenses without any advanced technology or force. We owe much to his actions. Murmurs of agreement filled the hall. Even some of the more skeptical delegates nodded with surprise. Princess. Lyra rose from her seat and addressed the gathering. Her voice was clear and strong, yet thoughtful. Yesterday and today, we witnessed courage in its truest form. Many of us judged humans to be small, untested, and inexperienced. But we have learned that their strength is not in weapons, shields, or appearances. It is in their hearts, in their minds, and in their actions. All eyes turned to Ethan, who stood quietly near the entrance. He did not bow dramatically, nor did he raise his voice. He simply nodded politely, his calm expression steady. Lyra continued, her tone carrying warmth and respect. Ethan Cole. This human soldier has demonstrated what humans can achieve when they act with honesty, intelligence, and courage. For that, we owe him gratitude and respect. Delegates erupted into applause. The sound was polite and formal at first, but it quickly grew sincere. Humans, who had once been considered newcomers and weak, now earned admiration in the halls. Of a URN, Ethan remained composed. He did not smile broadly, nor did he boast. His goal had never been to impress. He had acted because it was right. And that quiet dignity now inspired everyone present. Later, in the palace gardens, Lyra approached him again. The light of the late afternoon shimmered on the crystal fountains, casting rainbow reflections across the pathways. She walked with careful steps, as if each word she spoke needed to carry the weight of her respect. Ethan, she began softly, I owe you an apology. I mocked humans before. I thought your kind was weak, simple, and untested. But you have shown me the truth, that strength comes in many forms. Courage, wisdom, and kindness are just as powerful as any weapon or armor. Ethan shook his head gently. Princess, you do not owe me an apology. I only acted as I believed was right. That is all humans can do. They're not perfect, but we try to stand with courage and care. Lyra studied him carefully, noticing the calm determination in his eyes. You do not boast, you do not demand respect, and yet you command it. That is unusual in a warrior. Ethan smiled faintly. Perhaps that is what humans do differently. We lead by example, not by pride or force. The princess nodded slowly. She realized that in her world, strength was often shown through dominance, strategy, and status. But Ethan had revealed another truth. Courage and dignity could inspire more than power alone. The palace began preparations for a grand celebration to honor those who had helped during the attacks. Decorations were placed carefully, lights were set to glow warmly, and food from multiple planets was arranged in the grand dining halls. Ethan was invited to attend, but he quietly declined the main celebration, choosing instead to assist staff and ensure that everyone felt safe and comfortable. He moved among the guests calmly, helping where needed, giving reassurance with gentle words. Lyra watched him from across the hall. She wanted to speak to him again, to express her gratitude. But she noticed something else. He did not seek praise. That restraint, that quiet strength, was more remarkable than any heroic speech or display could have been. She approached him during a brief pause in the celebration. Human soldier, she said softly, you have done more than protect people. You have taught me something valuable. You have reminded me that courage, patience, and kindness are forms of strength too. Ethan's expression remained humble. Princess, we all have opportunities to act with care and courage. I only did what I thought was right. Anyone can do the same. Lyra smiled, realizing the truth in his words. Humans were still young in the galaxy, but they carried something powerful within them, something no technology or weapon could replace. As evening fell, the palace lights reflected off the crystal towers, casting a soft glow across the gardens. The celebration continued inside, but Ethan quietly made his way toward the main exit. He had done his duty, and he felt it was time to return to the human delegation quarters. Princess Lyra stepped outside to intercept him. She walked alongside him for a moment, her hands clasped, her expression serious but warm. Ethan, she said, will you remain here with humans and other delegates, or will you return to your world soon? Ethan shook his head. I must return soon, Princess. My mission is to observe, learn, and ensure that humans can grow safely in this galaxy. But I will carry the lessons learned here back to Earth." Lyra looked at him, understanding the weight of his words. Humans were small, inexperienced, and humble, yet they possessed courage, intelligence, and dignity that could inspire others. "Then go," she said softly, "with honor, and know that humans will not be underestimated again. You have earned the respect of Orion and its allies." Ethan nodded politely. "Thank you, Princess. That is enough for me." Before leaving, Ethan turned one last time toward the palace. He looked at the towers, the gardens, and the gathering of species who had watched him calmly guide everyone to safety. He did not feel pride in the way some might. He felt quiet satisfaction in knowing that he had acted correctly, that he had protected those who could not protect themselves, that he had represented humanity with dignity. Princess Lyra watched him walk away, feeling a mix of pride, respect, and curiosity. She had seen warriors, leaders, and heroes in her life. But this human soldier had taught her something she would never forget. Strength is not always shown with weapons. True courage comes from heart, mind, and will. And sometimes, quiet actions speak louder than any display of power. Ethan reached the human quarters, where his companions awaited him. He paused at the door, looked back toward the palace one final time, and simply smiled. Not with arrogance, not with pride. Simply a human, walking with dignity and calm purpose. "Marla," his companion said softly, "you really changed the way they see humans." Ethan nodded. Humans will always be underestimated. But if we act with courage, intelligence, and respect, we can make others see our worth not by force, but by example. And with that, he entered the quarters, quietly preparing for the journey back to Earth. That evening, Princess Lyra stood alone on a balcony, looking out over Orion. The sky was a deep violet, stars beginning to twinkle above. She thought of the human soldier, of his calm courage, and of the way he had protected everyone without needing armor, weapons, or display. A smile touched her lips. She whispered to herself, "Humans are young in the galaxy, yet they carry a strength I did not expect. Perhaps the galaxy will learn to respect them, starting with me." Far below, unseen, Ethan's steps faded quietly into the night.
Ow.
He had acted with dignity, courage, and care. He had proven that humanity, though small and new, could shine brightly in the galaxy. And for the first time, Princess Lyra realized that some heroes did not need armor or weapons. Some heroes simply walked with integrity, courage, and hard hand. That was more powerful than any technology in the universe. The galaxy was vast, unpredictable, and full of challenges. But humans had begun to make their mark not through dominance or pride, but through bravery, intelligence, and quiet. Unshakable dignity, and Ethan Cole, the human soldier, walked away knowing that he had done exactly what humans could do best. Act with heart, stand with courage, and leave a lasting mark through the power of quiet dignity.